Kansam Krisanachkate, welcome to APTN National News Daytime on this Wednesday. The family of a teenager in provincial care who was found deceased on a trail in northwestern BC wants to know what happened to their loved one. The 16-year-old girl is the latest First Nations person to have been found deceased in a walking trail near Highway 16, also known as the Highway of Tears. Here's an update. This was the last video posted by the 16-year-old female before her death. APTN News is not identifying her under the family's request. In the video, she says she's cold and unable to find anyone to take her back home after she went missing on Boxing Day from her group home in Smithers, BC. The following morning, she was found deceased on a walking trail in the town's Riverside Park. The teenager, who is from Hazelton, BC, was reported missing to Smithers RCMP on the evening of December 26th, after staff at her group home were unable to locate her. On December 31st, BC's Independent Investigations Office, or IIO, was notified by the RCMP, and the IIO began its investigation into the RCMP's response to the missing person report. In a statement, the IIO said they are called when there are injuries or a death that may be connected to RCMP officer action or inaction. Terry Turner is the teen's auntie. She says her niece had a rough life and spent time in ministry care, previously living in Hazelton with her mom, and was later put into provincial care in Smithers. Last Christmas, Turner said her niece was messaging her wanting to leave Smithers and be back home with family. However, a recent snowstorm prevented family from getting to her. In a statement, Turner said, "I told my dad you need to get this little girl and bring her home. She wants to come home. She really misses her mom." Turner then got a phone call on December 27th adding, "I didn't even know they found her remains in the morning. Her older sister called me early in the evening and was screaming. I told her she needed to calm down because I couldn't even understand her." Both the IIO and RCMP continue its separate investigations into the incident. The IIO is asking for any witnesses to come forward. RCMP expects more information to be released in the coming days. Turner says there are too many missing details, adding that her niece was simply reaching out for help. And you can read more about this story by Leanne Sanders by going to our website at aptnnews.ca. The inquest into the death of a 16-year-old First Nations girl shot by a Winnipeg police officer resumed this week. In 2020, Aisha Hudson was killed after an alleged liquor store robbery turned into a pursuit. Tuesday was the second day of an inquest expected to last through February. With more, here's APTN's Julia Ross.
Two police sergeants testified on Tuesday in the Aisha Hudson inquest. They were both on the scene when the 16-year-old was shot on April 8, 2020. Sergeants Dustin Drager and Jeff Vincent were both constables at the time. On the stand, both said they were in pursuit of the vehicle that Aisha had been driving. An agreed statement of facts read aloud said that on April 8, 2020 at 5:21 p.m., Winnipeg Police Services received a call that a liquor mart had been robbed by a group of Indigenous youth aged 15 to 18, and a threat to stab a security guard was included. No one was physically assaulted and weapons were not seen during the robbery. On the stand, Drager and Vincent were questioned on why they continued the pursuit and what they were basing their assessments of safety on. Both testified that they assessed the need to apprehend versus the risk to public multiple times. Drager says he believes there is no training specific to police officers interacting with Indigenous youth. Both testified that risk to public was low, and that because of the COVID-19 pandemic, traffic was minimal and there were no pedestrians in sight during pursuit. The inquest aims to examine Hudson's life, social context, use of force, and consideration of her Manitoba Advocate for Children and Youth, or Macy, report, and how they relate to her death and preventing similar tragedies in the future. Aisha was a member of the Barons River First Nation in northeast Manitoba. Her inquest continues throughout the month. Julia Ross, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
Numbers from Statistics Canada show Indigenous adults continue to be overrepresented when it comes to being incarcerated in Canada. Some Indigenous leaders say working on ways to prevent people of being repeat offenders would help stop that cycle. CTV's Jacob Carr has more.
Indigenous adults in Saskatchewan are incarcerated at the highest rate in the country compared to non-Indigenous people in the province, according to the latest numbers from Statistics Canada. FSIN Vice Chief Craig McCallum says it all starts with the systems in place for Indigenous youth in the province.
There's around 950 youth that are out on community sentences or bail right now in Saskatchewan. And I think about those youth and what sort of rehabilitation are they getting right now?
He says Indigenous youth in the justice system need access to therapy, counseling, addiction treatment, and cultural programming. And the Saskatchewan stats among Indigenous adults in jail back up his thoughts. In the province, Indigenous adults are incarcerated at a rate 19.4 times higher than non-Indigenous adults. The next highest province out of the 6 that provided data is Alberta at 10.2 times higher.
The bad news is that these stats are real and they're getting worse. The good news is there's also a lot of good work being done, particularly by Indigenous organizations, Indigenous communities, Indigenous families, and Indigenous individuals that are helping to change these trends.
Those organizations, according to McCallum, include the FSIN. He harkens back to the correlation between Indigenous youth offenders leading to a higher rate of Indigenous adults being incarcerated.
We're trying to come up with a better strategy, a better way of helping these young people heal. It's going to come down to, again, the will. Do people actually want to change these systems? Are they serious about it?
McCallum says progress has been slow, but he is hopeful for the future as the FSIN sits down and has conversations with the provincial government and other Indigenous organizations. Jacob Carr, CTV News, Regina.
Now to British Columbia, where a recent court judgment to keep fish farms from getting licenses on the Discovery Islands is being welcomed by those that say they are dangerous for wild salmon. APTN's Tina House has this story.
I'm here to check on the juvenile fish that are migrating to sea this year. You know, for 20 years we've seen massive sea lice outbreaks in this area because of the salmon farms.
Marine biologist Alexandra Morton has dedicated her life to saving wild salmon. She has worked extensively alongside many Indigenous communities in BC to help save the wild salmon population from what she says is a direct link from salmon farms. In 2023, then Federal Minister of Fisheries and Oceans Joyce Murray did not renew aquaculture licenses to Maui, a Norwegian fish farm company. They appealed, and on January the 29th, 2026, the Federal Court of Appeal dismissed the appeal from Maui from operating near the Discovery Islands, located just off the coast of southern Vancouver Island.
It's fantastic that the court said that the minister can use science that's outside of DFO. And all of us are watching these wild salmon rebound wherever the farms have been removed. And so this just means that the trend of increasing salmon in British Columbia has a chance to continue in the Fraser. And we're hoping that, we'll get to see salmon farms removed from other parts of the coast.
Morton says that in 2020, she went to the Discovery Islands to look at the health of juvenile wild salmon, and the samples she collected showed extensive sea lice.
The danger is pathogens. The farms are breaking all the natural laws, and so sea lice and viruses and bacteria are breeding in these farms. And there's been a lot of suppression around this science that's showing impact, but there's a lot of brave scientists at Canadian universities and within DFO, Pacific Salmon Foundation, that are showing that the impact of these farms is significant.
Chief Bob Chamberlain is the chair of the Wild Salmon Alliance. He is very happy with the court's decision, but urges the federal government to do even more.
There has been a long-standing call for an independent science panel to do this kind of work. And it's time that we do that, and that we see the Prime Minister make a comment and come forward and explain to Canadians that he's going to do the right thing for wild salmon in British Columbia.
We reached out to Maui for comment, but did not hear back by the time this story went to air. Tina House, APTN National News, Vancouver.
We have more news after the break. Don't go away. We'll be right back. welcome back. The Northwest Territories is turning up the heat on renewable energy sources in an effort to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and lower utility bills. As APTN's Charlotte Moore Jacobs explains, sustainability starts in the classroom.
These are the heavyweights of renewable heat, and here are the Northerners looking to operate them.
Or is it you have to get in there really?
They're part of a training course intended for operators and facility managers with experience in commercial systems, who are looking to extend their knowledge on how to safely and efficiently run heating plants powered by biomass boilers. Like Sheldon Farsi from Digogotne, Fort Providence.
There's quite a bit of maintenance that goes into these systems and what really has to be looked at. And especially in these remote communities that really need it. We've been getting a lot of people from the south, and it'd be good to get local technicians trained.
The training is part of a 3-day Arctic Bioenergy Summit in Yellowknife, hosted by Arctic Energy Alliance and Wood Pellet Association of Canada.
Further north, there's less familiarity with wood as a fuel source and wood as a heat source.
Industry leaders say to grow the sector, focus needs to shift on upfront capital costs of systems to long-term community benefits. Going as far as calling the NWT the Saudi Arabia of forests, with enough fuel to responsibly run chip boilers to heat every home and business. Executive Director of the Arctic Energy Alliance, Mark Hike, says the North has been working with biomass for space heating and wood pellets for the last 2 decades, and there's extraordinary potential for climate mitigation.
We're facing increasing threats from wildfires, and we're trying to build up community resilience. Fire smarting around our communities is a really important piece of that, but it's also something that will harvest a fuel that we can use to actually produce energy with.
Why is it important to have a regular schedule for cleaning your boiler tubes?
Trainer David Dubois says for bioenergy to be viable, building capacity is essential.
They're used to operating an oil boiler, or they're used to operating a wood stove. There's a layer of automation that these have in order to make them operate efficiently and effectively. Oftentimes, the use of these automated systems can be a little bit challenging to people that aren't comfortable using a control panel and everything like that. So we do a lot of work to ensure that it's very user-friendly, no different than using a smartphone.
Back in the classroom, Lyndon Antoine of Hay River can't help but thinking of communities heating with imported and pricey diesel and heating oil. He sees biomass as a homegrown answer to high energy costs and investment in local economy.
To save money for sure, I mean, and to use that money elsewhere, right, as possible. So, I mean, for funding, and you can make use of it for the youth or the seniors, or, you know.
Arctic Energy Alliance says based on demand, they hope to offer routine training starting later this year. Charlotte Moore Jacobs, APTN National News, Yellowknife.
The Northern Ontario School of Medicine has received a major donation supporting Indigenous health. Anonymous donors have provided $5 million for the school to create the Circle of Indigenous Health Research and Innovation. The circle will provide space for Indigenous-led research, education, and advocacy. It will be run through the University Centre for Health Equity and bring together Indigenous health organizations, elders, community leaders, along with other partners. People are still talking about the Grammys from over the weekend, including the remarks made by Billie Eilish.
No one is illegal on stolen land.
On Sunday, after winning Song of the Year for her single Wildflower, Eilish used her acceptance speech to speak out against the United States Customs Enforcement Agency, or ICE. She was referring to the civil unrest in Minnesota caused by ICE and urged people to continue to speak out and protest. The Tongva tribe, whose original land covers much of Los Angeles, including Malibu, where Eilish lives, said they appreciate her efforts to spotlight Indigenous history, but they asked that she highlight their nation directly when talking about the subject. The Tongva are not recognized by the United States. They have been advocating for recognition for decades. In a statement, the Tongva tribe told the Daily Mail, "It is our hope that in future discussions, the tribe can explicitly be referenced to ensure the public understands that the greater Los Angeles basin remains Gabrieliano Tongva territory. Eilish has not contacted our tribe directly regarding her property. We do value the instance when public figures provide visibility to the true history of this country. We now want to tell you about this week's new web poll question. Over on the website, we ask, does your community have a school lunch program? You can answer yes, no, or unsure. Go to our website at aptnnews.ca to have your say. Coming up next, we have a unique sit-down interview with Canadian Senator Michelle Audette. Don't go away. Thanks for staying with us. Fredericton -8, Charlottetown -2, Cartwright -9, Nain -13, St. Jovite -6, Montreal -6, sunny in Toronto at -8, Peterborough flurries and -9, Sudbury -14, Sioux Lookout -11, Churchill -30, Norway House -13, Winnipeg -9, Gimli -11, North Battleford +1, Regina -1, 2 in Buffalo Narrows, Uranium City -9, cloudy in Peace River at 1, Fort McMurray 0, 16 in Lethbridge, Medicine Hat 11, 15 in Tofino, Vancouver cloudy and 12, Dees Lake +1, Smithers +4, -32 in Old Crow, Mayo -12, -19 in Yellowknife, Wati -20, Colville Lake -34, sunny in Deline at -18, -30 in Cambridge Bay, Baker Lake -23, in Iqaluit -31, Agulik -34. During Ottawa's parliamentary break, Nouvelle Nationale's host Kim Sullivan was welcomed into the home of Senator Michelle Audette for a little chat around the beating mat. Here is part of that interview.
Bonjour. Oui.
Merci de nous accueillir comme ça.
Oui, merci d'être ici chez nous. Oui.
Mais j'aimerais commencer avec le fait que la voix militante était dans votre famille déjà. Votre mère avait cofondé le Femmes autochtones Québec. Et quand est-ce que vous avez su que votre voix à vous pouvait aussi avoir un impact?
Je ne sais pas. C'est une bonne question. Quand est-ce que j'ai... Quand je voyais des choses injustes, que je sois petite ou plus vieille, là, genre 7-8 ans, là, j'aimais pas l'injustice.
Okay.
Ça, je m'en rappelle. Là. J'ai fait comme un retour. Là, et j'aimais pas que les gens vivaient de l'injustice, qu'ils soient québécois, parce qu'à Cheverville, il y avait des Québécois là, dans mon école primaire, et des Inuits ou des Naskapis. Mais plus tard, c'est à 16 ans où c'est clair pour moi, là, parce que ma mère a marié un Blanc, qu'on dit à l'époque.
Ben oui.
Puis que la Québécoise est devenue, elle, indienne. Son fils, lui, est indien. Autant métissé que moi. Fait qu'à 16 ans, là, c'était clair pour moi, là, une Québécoise qui est devenue indienne en mariant un gars de chez nous. C'était le jargon de l'époque. Puis ma mère avait marié un Blanc. Elle était rejetée. Ouais. Alors ça, c'était le premier punch là, lequel je me rappelle. C'est clair que, parce que t'es femme indienne, qui est Inou, t'es discriminée.
On va y revenir un petit peu plus tard, mais je suis curieuse de savoir, parce que vous avez eu un parcours quand même assez diversifié. Est-ce que vous croyez que ce parcours diversifié-là vous a appris chaque petite étape, quelque chose qui vous a amené à où est-ce que vous êtes maintenant?
C'est comme perler.
Ah ouais.
Chaque perle est une expérience, puis quand tu l'additionnes, ça fait ton projet ou la shape que tu veux donner. Puis ça aussi, j'ai fait comme un exercice là, sur ma vie, parce que mes enfants me demandent, j'ai étudié en quoi pour faire ce que je fais aujourd'hui? Ah, ma mère n'a pas fini l'école, donc on finira pas l'école. Et tout de suite, je leur dis non. Mais ça m'a amené à voir que c'était des écoles de vie. Puis le cinéma, là, ça me dérangeait de voir, même si je l'apprécie puis elle est bonne, là, Orsini faire Chiaoué, descendante italienne, je pense.
Ben oui.
Alors qu'on avait plein de femmes de Première Nation qui auraient pu jouer ce rôle-là. Donc ça, moi, ça me choquait. Donc l'injustice, là, je me suis dit,
je suis capable de faire ça.
Non, même pas. Mais c'est quand on m'a approché, j'ai fait, OK, j'ai chialé.
Là, j'ai plus le choix.
Je vais assumer. J'ai adoré mon expérience, mais pour moi, l'insécurité, jeune maman, j'étais enceinte de 5 mois pendant le tournage. C'était trippant. Les agents arrivaient, on veut te prendre, t'as du potentiel. Puis j'étais comme, non, moi, je veux créer des militants en beaux-arts, en arts plastiques. Fait que je préférais aller à l'université à Concordia.
Okay.
Fait qu'il y avait toujours un petit côté, hey là, arrêtez de sous-estimer la beauté des femmes autochtones ou la richesse des femmes autochtones. Puis quand ça m'est arrivé, j'ai fait, OK, je vais arrêter de chialer, je vais essayer.
Mais là, vous êtes en politique.
Oui.
Ça chiale toujours, un petit peu.
Oui. Ça, c'est puis pas à peu près. D'ailleurs, j'ai une chandelle dans mon pupitre au Sénat là, qui sent le sapin baumier. Fait que quand ça chiale trop, pour me reconnecter à pourquoi moi je suis au Sénat. Les gens ont le droit de chialer, mais moi j'ai pas envie juste de chialer, puis les gens font pas juste ça, là. Alors, me regrander avec l'odorat de mon territoire, ça me ramène à, OK, moi j'ai une mission ici, j'ai un devoir, une responsabilité, reviens ici.
Puis vous la décrivez comment, cette mission-là?
Bien, de l'amour pour toutes les petites perles d'expérience que j'ai eues. Les gens m'ont fait confiance, les gens m'ont blessée, j'ai blessé des gens, j'ai fait confiance à des gens. Si je suis devenue sénatrice aujourd'hui, ce sont toutes encounters qu'on disait pendant l'enquête, toutes ces petites rencontres-là qui ont forgé mon portage aujourd'hui, puis la personne que je suis. Donc, ça veut dire, quand je pousse quelque chose, il ne faut pas que j'oublie qu'il y avait Natacha, ou il y avait Audrey, ou il y avait Anne-Marie, ou il y avait cette femme décédée, ou cette femme que j'ai jamais connue, jusqu'à Joyce et Chacoan, où j'ai soufflé dans l'oreille de Carole. Je peux pas te dire ce qui s'en vient pour moi, mais je veux que tu saches que je vais me battre encore pour ta femme à un autre endroit.
C'est drôle parce que vous avez fait la connotation de la perle et chaque moment d'expérience. Moi, je veux savoir s'il y a un symbole qui revient souvent dans votre perlage.
Oui, il y a un symbole. Il y en a 3 d'ailleurs.
OK.
Le cœur,
OK.
la double courbe,
OK.
et quand il y a des fleurs, c'est 5 pétales.
Toujours.
Toujours.
OK. Et
5
le
enfants.
symbole des 5 à 50 ans?
Mais 5 enfants.
5 enfants, oui, ben oui.
Oui, puis ça, c'est moi dans le milieu qui tient les enfants ou qui est entouré d'eux autres. Puis après ça, ben il y a mes petites filles qui sont arrivées. Fait que les petits cœurs embarquent.
Ben merci.
Vraiment, merci d'être venue ici.
D'accord, Mick.
Thanks, Kim and Michelle, for that. I hope you both got some beating done as well. And to watch the full interview in French, head over to aptnnews.ca. And that's your daytime newscast for this Wednesday. We're back again in a few hours for your evening newscast. Please join us then. Miigwech, masicho, hi hi. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again. Ekse.